Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 2 of Glory Hunter here on FIFA 23, where we start today's episode off on the back of our opening day victory by 2-1 over Celta Vigo. And as you can see here, we have a few transfer bids to start the episode off. One for Jeffrey Kondogbia from Jose Mourinho's AS Roma, which we rejected, and another for veteran midfielder Axel Witsel, who, as you can see, is valued at £7 million. Crystal Palace came in with a decent offer of £7.3 million. But as I sat down with Patrick Vieira, not really willing to negotiate that much, I said to him, you match his release clause of £15.4 million or you leave. And he was like, fine, do you know what, I'm off, which is absolutely fine by me, as I want to keep Axel Witsel at the club, so happy to keep him here as a dressing room leader. You may also see that Molina's position change from right mid to right wing back has been completed. So we've now put him on a right back development plan, just because I don't actually use wing backs ever really on FIFA. So just so that we can have him as a set right back. Following on from that, a few days later, we received an email from the chief executive that Juventus had triggered Marcos Llorente's release clause, which I think was like 70 or 80 odd million pounds, which would have been a lot of money. But we didn't want to lose him. He's had a great start to the season. So we sat down with him and his agent, offered him a new contract, which did see him receive a 20 grand a week pay rise, which is definitely reasonable for a player of his quality and someone who's developed so much over the last few years. So happy to give him a new contract with no release clause included. But following that, we jumped straight into the first game of the episode, in which we travelled down to the south of Spain to take on Almeria in what was our first away game of the season after a very positive result on the opening day at home to Celta Vigo. You can see the teams just running through here. It was a 5-3-2 for Almeria, which worried me a bit because, I'll be honest, I was worried about facing the 5-back formation and whether they'd be tough to break down. But we went into the game feeling pretty confident, had, I believe, an unchanged team from that game, or possibly, I can't remember if Griezmann started or came off the bench, but going into it, we were feeling pretty confident, and the first chance of the game would actually fall to us as we cleared an Almeria free kick, drove forward on the counter with Correa, tried to switch the ball out to the right, but it was actually a pretty poor pass out to Molina, but the defender hangs on to the ball for too long. Molina runs in, nips the ball off him, plays it into Antoine Griezmann, who had made a fantastic start to the season, and grabs the opening goal for Atletico Madrid. The defender takes a really heavy touch, overruns it, and, well, Griezmann couldn't really miss from there. Outside of the left boot to give us a 1-0 lead, like I say, away in the south of Spain against Almeria, celebrating in front of the travelling fans, and that is how the scoreline would read at half-time. Not too much to read in this one, but nonetheless, we will take any victory we can. But as you can see, 7 minutes into the second half, as Almeria came forward, it was that man again, Molina, who we've obviously just position changed to right back from right midfield, dropped him a little bit deeper, which is mainly where he plays in real life. Picks the ball up in the centre of midfield, drives forward through the heart of the Almeria team, and just as the defender sort of comes out to close him, rolls the ball into Carrasco. Defence parts like the Red Sea, and the Belgian couldn't really miss from there. On his left foot, whacks the ball past the keeper and doubles our advantage to put us in a really good position. And from here, Almeria just sort of fell apart. They didn't threaten us at all in this game. And it was Angel Correa this time who picks out the Frenchman Antoine Griezmann. Molina was on for a hat-trick of assists, but didn't get it in the end. It was his Argentine colleague, though, as I say, Angel Correa, who just a little slide rule pass into Antoine Griezmann, who drills it low and hard past the keeper in what was a really comfortable game. And as we ticked into the 90th minute, it was Griezmann looking for his hat-trick, the first one of the series. And he picks up the ball, I think, deep in his half, drives forward into the Almeria half with lots of confidence, just striding past players. He'd played a full 90 as well. Not sure where he got the energy from to continue travelling forward, but he did secure his hat-trick and a 4-0 victory for Atletico Madrid on the second away day of the season, which was absolutely fantastic to see. Great to see Griezmann picking up a hat-trick as well. But it was a really convincing victory, this one. Obviously, the scoreline reflected this, but the stats did as well. We were absolutely dominant. But after the game, when we got back to the office, I decided, right, we needed a backup keeper. We'd sold Gerbic, our Croatian backup shot stopper. And after a fantastic World Cup, I decided to go after another Croatian in Dominik Livakovic, who'd been on the shortlist for a little while, the 27-year-old, 80 rated. We brought him in, gave him a bit of a pay rise from what he was on in Croatia at Dinamo Zagreb, but this guy's been a pretty consistent performer over the last couple of years for Croatia and also in the Champions League as well, so I was delighted to bring him in. Obviously, won't play a huge amount as Jan Oblak, the captain, will be the main man between the sticks, but Livakovic will be our cup keeper, and you can see he slots into the squad right here. My OCD with how everyone is sort of lined up is ridiculous, but I wanted to get him in the correct position. And like I say, he probably won't play a huge amount. I imagine he will only play in the Copa del Rey. As the Champions League, we're going to keep the main man Oblak in between the sticks. But we weren't done there. I wanted to go out and sign a central defensive midfielder, someone who's a little bit more solid defensively. We didn't really have a proper holding midfielder. I really wanted to bring Rodri back to Atletico, obviously parted for Man City a couple of years ago now, can't remember exactly what year it was, but there was another man on the shortlist, another former Atletico man who's had a bit of a tough time off the pitch since moving to Arsenal. There's obviously been some allegations. If you don't know what I'm on about, just go and Google it and I'm sure you'll be able to find an article. But we sat down with Mikel Arteta, agreed I think it was just over 25 or 27 million pound price tag, plus Axel Witsel, who I actually said at the beginning of the episode we wanted to keep, but we actually sat down with Arteta and he was the one who said he wanted to bring Axel to the Emirates. So I said, you know what, if you are willing to let go of him for Thomas Partey, then I'm willing to tango, Mikel. And Thomas Partey returns in a swap deal. It was Axel Witsel plus £28 million. Didn't get the greatest price rating from the chief executive, but for me, I think that's a great deal. I know obviously Partey is a little bit older at the age of 29, not your usual sort of career mode signing, but I thought it was quite an interesting one. Obviously used to play for Atletico, and like I say, he's had a bit of a tough time of it off the pitch since moving to Arsenal. And he just gives us a different option in midfield. As you can see in the 4-2-3-1, once we've sorted it all out, Partey can slot into that left DM position where he plays pretty regularly for Arsenal, and will just give us a little bit more solidarity next to whoever plays in the more sort of box-to-box role. Most likely will be Llorente, but we've also got De Paul, Koke as well, the actual club captain, Kondogbia, and Sao Niguez as well. None of them I would really class as proper defensive midfielders, so I wanted to bring in a real sort of hard-working, combative midfielder, which we got in Thomas Partey. Didn't cost us a huge amount either, but he would be on the bench for the second game of today's episode, where we returned back to the Metropolitano and faced another 5-3-2 in the form of Getafe under the management of Quique Sanchez Flores. And again, I was a little bit worried about this game. 5 at the back again. Obviously, we scored 4 against Almeria, which was a good sign. But starting off this game, they had Enes Unal and Yusuf Poulsen, the Danish giant up top, and they were causing me some issues, the two of them. They were linking up well, keeping the ball, they were really physical, hard to get the ball off of. But in the 22nd minute, as Molina down at the right-hand side does hold off Unal, spreads the play to Jimenez, and we work our way up the pitch. It works its way out to Sergio Reguilon, the Tottenham loanee, and we just sort of keep the ball moving. Griezmann rolls the ball into De Paul, who finds Correa, who unfortunately loses the ball, and I thought the attack was over, but this is exactly how we've been all season, chasing down the ball, putting teams under pressure. Correa doesn't give them a minute, nips in, wins the ball back, and as the ball is squared back to Rodrigo De Paul, he finds at the back of the net to give us a 1-0 advantage, and we lead again. We've not been behind in any of our games, but look at this from Correa, absolutely fantastic. Doesn't give the defender a second to breathe, nips in, wins the ball back, and rolls it across to his national team colleague, who fires in for his first goal of the season to give us a 1-0 lead against Getafe. And this is exactly what I needed. I didn't want to go one down in this game against the 5-back and have to sort of try and break them down by giving them something to hold on to. But straight from the kickoff, we were putting them under pressure again. This time De Paul, the goal scorer, buoyed by his opening goal, wins the ball back, and as we come down the right hand side, it's Molina again who drills the ball inside to Correa. It's another Argentine connection. The three of them, Molina, De Paul and Correa, were just on fire in this game. Obviously in real life now World Cup winners, but it was fantastic from Molina down that right hand side. Didn't give up on a loose ball, gets inside into the box, gets his head up and pulls it back to Correa, who slams home into what was pretty much an open net. Couldn't really miss from there. Fires it past Daniel Iverson in the Getafe goal and gave us a 2-0 lead 5 minutes after our opening goal. But it was quite quiet after that. Getafe didn't really threaten too much. We sort of held on to what we had, controlled the play, made a couple of subs, including Thomas Partey coming on for his second debut at the club. And from this corner you can see Partey's actually in the box for the corner, but it's Llorente who it comes out to on the edge of the box. Fires a shot in, but it's comfortably saved by Iverson. But you can see from this highlight we were just sort of controlling the game, keeping hold of the ball. Morata also came on for his first appearance of the season, and as the ball falls to Partey here, I was thinking surely not 5 minutes into his debut, but his half volley does end up going wide of the post. But I don't normally include a huge amount of defensive highlights, but this is exactly why we signed Thomas Partey. You saw there a couple of times in just a few minutes, nipping in, winning the ball and setting us on the attack. I don't believe that it actually amounted to anything in the end, maybe a half chance. Yeah, no, it didn't amount to too much in the end, but that's exactly why we signed Thomas Partey, just to come in, be that defensive rock, and get us started on the attack. But yeah, as we're seeing out the end of this game here, pretty comfortable 2-0 victory, similarly to the Almeria game where we just sort of controlled things. We were absolutely fantastic, didn't really let them get into the game too much. And you can see my press conference here where they're asking me about Thomas Partey, and you know, as I've said, I really think we needed that sort of defensive midfielder to come in. And in those big games later on in the season, Champions League knockout games, big away days against the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona, I feel like we needed someone in that midfield to come in for probably De Paul, to play next to Marcos Llorente, who's more of a box-to-box, and Partey is exactly that. And picking him up on what I thought was quite a cut price deal for £28 million plus. A 33-year-old, I think, Axel Witsel, was a really good piece of business, and I wanted to keep the transfers, as I've said, sort of as realistic as we can in this series. And, you know, as I said, with what's going on with Thomas Partey over in England, it has sort of died down now, but, you know, there's still sort of, there's still a lot of tension there. So I thought we'd bring him back over to Spain and, bring him back to a club that he's played for before. And for me, I think it's going to end up being a great piece of business. But as we roll over to deadline day, you can see we had a bid for Mario Hermoso, who hadn't really played that much as of yet, but is a very good squad player to have. Can play centre back and left back. Man City came in for him, and we probably could have sold and got a decent figure for him, but I wanted to keep hold of him, keep him at the club, and we didn't have a huge amount of time left on deadline day. However, there was one man who I wanted to bring in, and I wanted more cover for our right back position. Obviously, we've got Molina, who's been fantastic to start the season off, but beyond that, we don't really have any cover. I was looking at Jeremy Frimpong of Bayer Leverkusen, but I was thinking he's probably someone that we'll use later on down the line as more of a starter. And the way that Molina's started off the season, I thought it would be a little bit unfair to bring someone in to replace him. I did really want to bring in Pedro Porro from Sporting, but unfortunately they wouldn't even negotiate with us. So we brought in Pavard, who is an option, can play obviously right back and centre back, and it was quite a cheap deal as well. I believe £22 million plus a 9% sell-on fee. Obviously, sell-on fee's not really a major issue for us, as we're not going to be at many clubs for a major amount of time, and they don't amount to a lot of money anyway. So quite happy to bring him in, got a B rating, just as a little bit more cover for us. As I say, can play at right back and centre back. Will mainly play at right back for us, to swap in and out with Molina, just to obviously rotate every now and again. We've got a lot of fixtures and a busy schedule, so need to make sure that we're keeping all of our players nice and fit. But you can see the top deals of deadline day. Trent Alexander-Arnold headed off to Spain as well to join up with FC Barcelona for 96.3 million, which is going to make them a hell of a lot stronger. And Moussa Diaby as well to Chelsea for £66.2 million. But obviously these transfers could make a difference to us later on in the series, depending on where we end up. But we just wanted to obviously look at Molina, having brought in Benjamin Pavard at right back. I just wanted to show that obviously Molina is going to be our starting right back, and he's had an absolutely fantastic start to the season, picking up 3 assists in 3 games. And as you saw from the games today, he was absolutely fantastic. But that will end it for today's video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed, and I hope to catch you for the next one.